So Richard Tice joined us. Very good morning to you, Richard.
Oh, it was a bit early at 6 o'clock, Mike, but
yeah,
very good morning.
Listen,
I'm joining you in the latter half.
Absolutely right, very sensible. The audience is even bigger now than it was at 6. It might not surprise you to hear. Lots to talk about this morning, so let's get right to it. Over the weekend, it was announced by Reform UK, yourself and Nigel Farage, big piece of the Telegraph, you're taking on the Manchester Airport thugs because the CPS has been completely and utterly hopeless at doing anything. We've actually got a statement from them here, which we got just 2 days ago. Crown Prosecution Service spokesman said, "We are considering material and are providing advice in relation to a series of alleged criminal offences at Manchester Airport in July this year." That's the same statement they've been giving us since it happened.
Let's just remind everybody, this was July the 23rd.
Yes.
Right?
We're just watching it now.
It is now November the 18th.
Yeah.
Almost 4 months later.
Yeah.
And with the greatest of respect to the Crown Prosecution Service, why is it taking so long? What are they faffing around at?
Right.
It doesn't take a rocket scientist.
It really doesn't.
To see what's happened there, take some witness statements and make a decision. They're able to do it quite rapidly and promptly in arresting and charging and convicting people involved in summer disturbances.
Yes.
Why can't they do it with this clear disturbance? And this is a sign of two-tier justice and two-tier policing.
Yeah.
And we warned the CPS, if you don't get your act together,
October 7th, didn't you?
we told them back then, right, here we are, 6 weeks later, we've given them fair time.
Yeah.
We've heard absolutely
So they haven't even responded to you?
Zip.
Right.
So that's it. We're done with waiting.
Yeah.
And on behalf of the British people and furious serving and retired police officers, we're going to do something about it. And so we will be releasing the letters that are going to the Chief Constable and to the head of the CPS later on this morning, together with some explanatory notes. We're using a company called TMI Limited, which is probably the UK's biggest private criminal prosecutor.
And they've never lost a case, I understand.
Well, they've been incredibly successful, over 1,000 successes, and they will get this job sorted, and we will progress it. And
so the private prosecution is against whom?
It'll be against the two individuals.
Okay.
So we will seek the required evidence and witness statements that Greater Manchester Police have taken, request the data from the CPS, and then we will proceed. And there is another point here, which I just want to get out there. It is possible that the CPS decide to essentially hijack our criminal prosecution along the way through, and then we've been told they could actually then discontinue it.
Really?
And we're just serving notice on the CPS. Don't you even dare think about it, because the British people will not tolerate it.
Well, it's a question that we get asked practically every day by our listeners and viewers. What's happening at Manchester with the Manchester Airport investigation? You know, what are the CPS saying? And all we can ever get from them is that statement I just read to you. People have asked me in the last 24 hours, though, have the officers concerned been in touch with you, and are you operating on their behalf? Do they approve, not approve? What do they say?
So we haven't been, we've not been liaising with the officers concerned. We understand that the IOPC, Independent Office for Police Conduct, are still investigating the officers. They're still investigating.
They're still suspended,
the leak of the footage that actually exonerated the officers from what they were completely wrongly being accused of.
And they're still suspended, I presume, are they?
And we understand they're still suspended. Yeah. And we believe that this is just completely warped priorities. Historically, the CPS would have got stuck in, would have made their decision and prosecuted. And the IPC would have waited until after that was concluded before seeing whether or not there were any charges or, excuse me, investigations required of the officers. Now they've done the opposite, and the IPC seem to decide first, and the CPS wait until afterwards.
Yes.
What we're very suspicious of is the CPS are basically trying to see whether or not the IPC find any fault in the officers who've been brutally assaulted and attacked, by the way, and then say, oh, it's not in the public interest to prosecute.
Yes.
I'm sorry, that is completely unacceptable.
But the thing that is very clear, as you say, is it's absolutely an episode which illustrates two-tier policing, because there can be no other explanation, can there?
There can be no other explanation that anybody can rationally think of, and it's just utterly bizarre. And if you send out our officers, most of the time unarmed, onto the front line, in the line of duty, then it is incumbent on society to offer them proper and due protection if they get attacked, which occasionally and regrettably they do. And that's the role of the CPS. Do your job, do it promptly. We know you can do it promptly when it suits you.
They can.
Well, actually, do it promptly when it involves police officers. Otherwise, frankly, what's the point of them? And we talk about accountability of police officers. I want some accountability of the leadership of the police forces, the leadership of the IOPC, and the leadership of the CPS. If they're not up to the job, fire them and get someone in who can.
Because this also comes hot on the heels of the clearing of the police officer who was charged with the murder of Chris Cabba.
Absolutely right.
The CPS again made a decision to go after him.
And this is why people are so concerned about the CPS, because that should never have gone anywhere near a court, as was confirmed by the jury that heard it, who wrote a letter to the judge, which the judge decided not to read out.
Yes.
So, yeah, the CPS have got massive egg on face. And frankly, I just repeat the point. If their leadership are not up to it, if they don't believe in the job they're doing, please get out of the way. Otherwise, you'll be fired. And let's get someone who can do the job properly.
And also, let's have a bit more accountability from some of these organisations that, up until now, people like yourselves have not been able to ask questions of. Now that you're in the situation of being an MP in Parliament, you've got much better sort of access.
And it's funny, but actually, the Home Office and these other people, they don't like being held to account.
No, they don't.
Accountability works both ways, folks.
Yeah.
And they've got to answer some questions.
They're very good at telling you what you should be doing and what you shouldn't be doing and what you should be saying and what you shouldn't be saying, but they don't actually like it when you go, well, actually, how about you give us a few answers?
And that's right.
Almost as though they don't think they need to.
And that's what we're doing. We're holding them to account, and they need to explain themselves. And if there's something that we've all missed, then please give us a fuller explanation, not the wishy-washy waffle that they've just given you over the weekend.
Well, let's have a look at another story today, which is apropos of nothing. It's on the front page of The Sun this morning. Masked raiders struck Windsor Castle estate as the Prince and Princess of Wales and their children slept in their home nearby. Now, they basically crashed through a barrier. There was no armed guards on the gate, because guess why? The armed guards have been removed, partly because they couldn't find anybody to do it, apparently, but also partly because tourists, allegedly, according to the people that run Windsor, didn't like seeing police officers walking around with machine guns. Well, this is 5 minutes from the heir to the throne's house.
This is completely warped priorities. I mean, it's either that, or I don't like to see an armed police officer. Well, it's an area of high security. I actually find it quite reassuring.
Yeah.
And by the way, if you come across an armed police officer, they've got a serious job to do.
Yeah.
Top tip, don't mess with them.
Don't start punching them.
Don't start punching them.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you might find it doesn't end very well.
Yeah, exactly right.